Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
At 20 after, William Gein, the head of Alley Pack, they're kind of like gun owners of America, but for the borders. They're up there on Capitol Hill. They'll give us the inside baseball on what's really going on with the collapse of the border. It's so important. I've got a red siren imitating Drudge in here right now in the TV studio that will only come out during the most dire of emergencies. But it's out with us here today. Let's go to Tomahawk and then Michael. Then after the break, we'll go to Lab Rat, John, Phyllis, and many others. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231. Tomahawk is calling in from FEMA Region 4. Now people see how serious it is. They just do what they want under UN control. The UN is basically running the open border operation. That's now confirmed. What former state are you in, Tomahawk?
The home of the Georgia Guidestones.
So you're in Georgia, former Georgia Peach territory.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I just had a couple things, encouraging and discouraging. I'll have to say the discouraging thing would be you talking about leaving the nation. I know that it's getting so crazy here that you feel for your family, and I just, probably see too many ways out. But the most encouraging thing I see is whenever you put a bullhorn in your hand and you go screaming and ranting and telling people what it is, and you're going to have a following. I mean, you want to be William Wallace, there you go. They're going to come. You build it, they will come, and I will come from all the way from Georgia to help you and your family support the border. I mean, securing it, and I mean, we're up against a tyrannical government.
That's why they've got Rick Perry playing the part of, I'll put 1,000 troops on the border, and then you read the fine print to deliver them to ICE to ship them into the country. And then even listeners go, but I want to believe in Perry. I'm sorry, it's a fraud, it's a hoax. I'm not going to lie to people.
And you got Jesse Ventura talking about supporting open borders while he lives in Mexico. I mean, it's just a hoax. The left wing, the right wing, it's all a joke. I mean,
well, sure, and I want to be clear. Jesse is a total libertarian. He says total guns. He says legalize everything. We shouldn't have borders. But you can't have socialism and welfare. I mean, you wouldn't have all these people coming up here if there wasn't welfare. Or the ones that came up would want to work. We allow the whole world, if you're a criminal, you run to America now and get signed up with an Acorn group, and then the Democrats put the word in at ICE, and you have a get-out-of-jail-free card. I mean, this is a criminal takeover, that's what it is.
That's right. I just wish. I know it's a really tough thing to take in, and being the actual William Wallace. I know we are in the info war, but to actually be out there, physically, it's just that to me is the most encouraging thing that I can think of that you could possibly do.
Well, now MSNBC shows videos of 1957 with the Republican President Eisenhower sending the National Guard in to block the governor who wouldn't let black kids go to school. And she has the nerve to say that's the Republicans trying to control the border. The Republicans, the leadership, Boehner and all the rest of them, are the ones that wrote the original amnesty bill that Obama's trying to pass. The Republican leadership wants this, so they give the right cover. Oh, we put some National Guard down there to act as like UPS workers to ship the illegals in on a conveyor belt. I mean, that's how they destroy us, is the Republicans play the part of the opposition. She outrageously calls them racist because they're there helping ship the illegals in, knowing her viewers are literally the dumbest people on the planet. I mean, how do you defeat such savage deception where it's not just Perry, the governor, shipping the illegals in, it's Melissa Harris Perry lying and giving him left cover. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and fiat currency backing it all, backing everything.
How dare you, Perry, be trying to control the border, Melissa Harris Perry says. Meanwhile, he's got National Guard down there, to deliver the illegals into the country. Oh, man, you got the National Chamber of Commerce for it. They all want it because they want you poor and dumber than a box of rocks. On this Monday edition, William Geen of AlleyPack up there on Capitol Hill will give us the D.C. breakdown on what's happening with the North American Union implosion of our borders and ways to fight back against it. Or run up the white flag, and then the level of tyranny will just intensify. Thomas Jefferson said the level of tyranny you will live under is the exact level you put up with. And a lot of other news as well. Important things are happening, like 5 costumed characters have been arrested Saturday in Times Square. And the New York Times says when media mergers limit more than competition, the censorship of news. Also, Hamas chief says we cannot coexist with occupiers and that they do not basically want to cease fire. You know, that's my issue, is that it's like a cause celeb, where the only time anybody in the left cares about a war is when it's Israel in a war. And I'm neutral on the issue, and I think it's terrible, and both sides have major problems. I'm on record about that. And it's very polarized, where you're supposed to choose one side or the other. But I see Al-Qaeda, ISIS, or IS as it's now known, they keep changing the name to get away from our government funding them, killing over 300,000 people conservatively in Syria and now tens of thousands in Iraq, blowing up churches every day, murdering men, women, and children. Mainline organizations like the UN admit that Christians may be extincted in Syria and Iraq under this. They've survived thousands of years, 2,000 years. Almost zero coverage, and you don't hear a word from anybody. And then the anti-Israel crowd will have like 3 articles criticizing, you know, stuff Israel's doing, and then some articles criticizing something that, you know, Hamas is doing. And then they'll be, Alex is covering up. There's no Gaza coverage. Because intellectually, that's how you prove you're better. Oh, Alex doesn't cover the North American Union. Alex doesn't cover the Federal Reserve. Alex doesn't cover offshoring. Alex doesn't cover, you know, what's happening over in the Middle East. Alex doesn't. I cover it all. But there's this fake intellectual thing where people just say, he doesn't cover the Vatican. Or he doesn't. Yeah, he works for Israel. Yeah, he... Instead of getting out and fighting the tyranny. I mean, Egypt just destroyed a whole bunch of tunnels out of Gaza into Egypt. You got that Gaza crew connected into trying to overthrow the Egyptian government. What, do the Egyptians not let the Gazans in because they hate Arabs or Muslims? No, folks, it's because it's a political football and a destabilizing force in the region. You can say, well, that's because Israel took over and did what they did in 1947. Israel's got 800 nuclear weapons. They're not going anywhere. So why is it the cause celeb again? To talk about the Israeli-Palestine conflict, because that's all you're supposed to know about while all hell's breaking loose everywhere else. I mean, you got over 1,000 people killed in Gaza. Civilian targets are being hit because the people firing at the Israelis are in those areas. That's just a fact of war, and I think it's terrible, and I think it's wrong, and I think it's bad. But 1,000 versus 300,000? Can I get 300 times the coverage? If numbers count? No, I can't. I can't get 1% the coverage of Al-Qaeda murdering Christians and non-radical Muslims, moderate Muslims, all over Africa, all over the Middle East. I'm sick of it. And you expose that and make it a big issue? That's it for the New World Order, folks. You know why? Because then it'll come out that there's a criminal group above our government, like Spectre, funding this to destabilize the world. See, I don't like the news, what I'm supposed to cover being set for me. Sometimes if something's a big issue and MSNBC says the open borders are like the new civil rights movement, and that's the big national story, I'll cover it all the time, not because it's the big story they made, but because their lies are big, I'm going to counter it. But most of the time, I don't cover what the big fake story is. We end up covering what we think is important, and many times make it an national story. We're here to really change the world, folks. Not sit here with a political foot